This is a place where I will share my creative adventures with you. We will talk about knitting and crafting, gardening and cooking, food preservation and building projects, and so much more. If this sounds good to you, let's get right to this week's creative adventures together.
Hi, welcome to episode 5 of Christy Creates Every Day. I have a meeting I need to attend in half an hour, so I'm just getting myself set up. I can attend the meeting virtually on the big TV over there. While I'm doing that, of course, I'll be taking notes. I'm going to have some of the delicious soup that we made together the other day. I'm going to sort through the oregano that we just harvested, and I will start to get that all dehydrated. Of course, if I get the chance, I will keep working on this surprise gift that I'm making, and I can edit the video. So here's hoping I can get all that done during the meeting. Who knows? I'm excited you're here with me. I'm not sure what's going to be in this week's episode. I haven't thought it through, but I think there will be some sewing table renovations, some gardening. There's going to be some cooking, and I don't know, some surprises. I'm so glad you're here. So it's almost 4 o'clock, and I've had these tomatoes sitting outside in the sunshine, defrosting all day, but as you can see, there is still ice, which I give to my chickens. But mostly they're defrosted enough for me to work with. So if you haven't seen a tomato that comes out of the freezer before, they're quite mushy, but the best part is the skin does that. So skin in the spinner bowl, tomato in the pot, and we just keep going. Some of it really honestly is so easy because the skins just fall right off. There is a lot of water in here, which is part of the purpose, so that we don't have to cook this off. I think you can see, like, it's just so much water, and this water won't go into our sauce because we don't want to just have to cook it off, which is one of the beautiful things about putting your tomatoes in the freezer. Wow, that's a lot of tomatoes. Okay, we get them inside into the electric cooker and give them a good stir. You can still see all the water that's in them, even after I've taken all the water out from the freezing and thawing process. I've taken all of the skins and I've put them in my salad spinner. I've done a few rounds where I've spun them out. I'm going to do one more round here and just try and get that last little bit of water out of them. When these are all spun out, I'm going to put them in my dehydrator and make dehydrated tomato skins out of them. I put everything into my dehydrator for 48 hours, regardless of how long I think it's actually going to take, because you can never over dehydrate, but you can under dehydrate. So start with the maximum amount you can process for. In my case, that's 48 hours. And then because I want the bright red color to maintain on my tomatoes when I've dehydrated them, I've got them pretty low, down to 115, and there we go. I set them off. The house ends up smelling delicious, by the way. Good morning. Well, it's pretty early. It's not even 7 o'clock. I left these tomatoes here last night to cook away all night in this electric cooker. I turned the temperature right down. Okay. I turned the temperature right down so that it's okay overnight. Look, you can see all this steam rising. They are toasty warm and they smell delicious. The house actually smells delicious. I also have the tomato skins dehydrating to make tomato powder. So the house has a wonderful tomato smell. Well, if you ask me, I think it's wonderful. I don't know what it, no, I'm getting it over there from the teenager. Anyways, it's so early that I haven't had breakfast, so I'm gonna go enjoy my cheesy pudding, and I will be back to add the onions and peppers and everything that makes this tomato into a wonderful chili starter for our family. So I've got all the spices added into here for now. I will let this cook for about half an hour or so, and then I will taste it again before we even start to think about adjusting all the flavors. I just want to get them all married and bloomed into this tomato base, and then we'll see. The plan will be to can this later this afternoon, so these are going to have a lot of time to get to know each other and get really good and tasty. So the chili starter has been cooking away all day. It smells delicious. It's probably been cooking for about 4 hours with all the ingredients in it. It smells wonderful, and it is the consistency I would like it to be. You have to be careful not to go too thick, just for some of the science involved with canning, and so just be cautious about that. Do your homework and figure out why, or send me a message, I'll tell you. So I'm ready to can. I will take my clean warm jars out of the pot here. They've been just warming up. If I didn't warm them up and I added hot product to them, they could crack because of the thermal shock. So you warm them up before you put warm product in them. I'm leaving 1/2 inch headspace on these, and I'm adding citric acid. And then new rim. Oh, not yet. Wipe. That makes sure it's all clean, and then new rim. This just goes on fingertip tight, and it's cool enough I can touch it. So this is the chili starter I have left after the 18 pints that are on the stovetop now. And I just want to get this processed, but I don't have any more huge pots like that I have a base for to rest the jars on. So the solution is to use a big stock pot. And in order for the jars not to sit on the very bottom of the pot while it's canning, while it's boiling away, I've just got these mason jar rings, and I will set the jars on top of those while they're in the pot. Okay, good news. The dehydrated tomatoes are finally done. They have taken 26 hours. This is a countdown from 48. We've got 22 left, so we've got 26 hours they've been in here. I took many of the trays out earlier today because most of the tomatoes were already dehydrated. I just left in what still needed some work, and so this is what we've got left. Go ahead and unplug this now. You have to let these cool off before you throw them in the blender and whiz them up into powder, because there is still some moisture in here, believe it or not. And so once these get to room temperature, I will pop them in the blender and make them into powder. See you then. So this is what the dehydrated tomato flakes end up looking like, or powder. You can see in here that it's actually really, really fine little pieces. And the way you use it is to put a tablespoon or two, or however much you want, into whatever you want to thicken and taste like tomatoes. So sometimes when I open these jars of chili starter, they're just a little more liquidy than I want the chili to be. And so I will put either a third of a cup or a quarter cup of this in, and it acts sort of like a tomato paste and a thickener, and it just adds a flavor and denseness to your end product. It's fantastic. You could add it to things like rice, broth. I think those are things I would add it to. Yeah, there you go. So once again, it is the morning after the night before. And if you've seen the other videos, you know that that means it is time to get all these jars over to the kitchen and washed up. I'll take the rings off to make sure that they have sealed. Let's see. That process is just lifting it by the lid, and that one's sealed. So I'll do that with all of them, wash them all up, dry them, and label them. And then I've actually got a little app that I use for inventory to let me know what I've got left, what I've got either in Pickering or in Ajax. And I'm hoping that by next year, I won't have to guess how many I made of each thing and then try to remember what our family went through. I'll just have a record of it, and then I can be smarter, right? Bye, guys. Morning, everyone. As you can tell, it's another bright and early morning on Homestead. I've gone out and checked the chickens. No eggs yet this morning. Pigs are doing fine, and it's time for us to get working on our next project. Just kidding. We're in suburbia. There's no chickens. There's no pigs. But it is still dark and early out. Family's not up yet, but I am busy getting food ready for gift giving season. This is going to be cranberry juice. This is just some fresh cranberries. You can do this with fresh or frozen cranberries. I'm going to make juice with them this morning. All you ladies know why I'm making cranberry juice. There's two methods. I'm using the method that ends up with just the juice in the jars, not the berries in the jars afterwards, and I will not be adding sugar. I have 10 pounds of cranberries. They are washed and they are in my big stock pot here. And cranberries float, remember that. So as you're adding water to your stock pot, it will look like there's no water going in, but press down and there's lots of water. Let me bring you closer and show you that. Oops. So there is lots of water in there. So these are going to come to a boil. and eventually they will pop, sort of like Rice Krispies. They're going to pop. This all gets filtered and strained. So these have been washed, but you just saw me pick a little stem off. That'll all get filtered out in the juicing process. I'll bring you back when this is boiled. Okay, the cranberries have come to a boil. I'm going to turn down the heat. I just want them to simmer now. I'm going to try and see if we can find one that's in the act of popping. You can see that, where are we? That has popped. That has split. That's popped. You may not be able to see one actually in the popping process, but you can see that they're splitting apart. That's what we want. These are going to simmer for 10 minutes and start to release some of their very good goodness. Okay, the cranberries look awesome. They have all popped and released their shape. There's all sorts of juice in the bottom of the big crock pot here. And we're going to do our first strain and drain. And then the berries themselves will go back in the stock pot with less water this time. And they will do the same process. And we're going to do that whole process 3 times. So let's get them strained and drained. The purpose of this at this point is just to remove the solids from the liquid. It's not really to get all the liquid out of the solids because they're going to go back into more water. Okay, I have finished processing the cranberries for the second time. They have one more processing time, but you can see, I think you can see that the container on the right is a little less dark colored than the first one. So the color of the cranberry juice is changing as the nutrients and stuff leach out. So this is the third time this will be processed, third and last time. And once this is done, we will mix all of the juices together so that the final product is cohesive. And there you go. This is the process. So I wanted to do a little bit of math to see if we saved money making our own cranberry juice. So I found this Just Juice for $13.99 per liter. So I multiplied that times 12 liters, which is what we ended up with, and it costs $167.88. Our cost was $2.50 per bag. We had 10 bags at $25. So we subtract what the total cost would have been, $167.88 minus the $25 that we spent, and we saved $142.88 doing this. Okay, we have all of our cranberry juice ready to jar. I just did a bit of math and I figured out that we are saving approximately $130 by making our own cranberry juice. There's no other blend, there's no sugar. If you had to buy 12 liters, which is what we ended up with, 12 liters worth of pure cranberry juice, it's about $167. And I paid $25 for this, so $135 is what we're saving. Pretty awesome, eh? I will get my favorite transfer tool, which is this scooper right here, and I will start filling my jars. Well, folks, I have a bit of a problem. This is where I've been storing my 600 jars all summer while I've been in the midst of the canning season. And right now, this is what I've got left. These are wonderful, but are a little useless. They're a liter and a half. I actually don't have any recipes that take that volume, and so they're more decorative or for dry storage. And those are all my jars I have left. So I guess I have to get eating my preserved products so I can make some more. Really, it's not a bad problem to have. Well, my plan to get all of that edited during yesterday's meeting didn't go as planned. The meeting got a little bit spicy and I had to pay attention. So it's the next day and I am at the editing desk on my couch getting through this. So that was a long time in the kitchen, got all that chili starter done. It turned out delicious, kids love it. And the cranberry juice, it is wonderful. I don't add any sugar even when I drink it straight up. It's just delicious on its own. I do prefer it quite cold. I'm not the intended recipient for all those liters, but I did snag some before I got it all canned up. We are about to head into the craft room and make some embroidered, watercolored birthday cards. It was a lot of fun. I hadn't done this before, but it was fun to do. I will do it again. I think that the end result is definitely worth the effort. And after that, we'll go right into a little renovation I did on my sewing table. I had a lot of help from Mr. Christie, but he didn't want to be on YouTube, so I had to cut him out. So I hope you enjoy the video of us renovating the table so that my sewing machine sits flush. The sewing surface sits flush with my table. It worked out great. I love it. Here we go. So these are just some templates I printed out from clip art, and then I cut them to fit the size of my cards, and I used a sewing pin to mark where I needed to make the outline on the card. So this gets a little tedious, but and my fingers get sore, but it was worth it in the end. So here I'm just going to take some DMC embroidery floss. I cut it down to 2 threads. I separated it into 2 threads and just start embroidering the way I would on any sort of cotton or linen. At this point, I am finding it a little difficult to find the holes from behind that I've created, but as I get through the process, it becomes easier. So I've just anchored my starting stitches and get flying. I change my method a little bit as I get going, but there it is all finished, and I'm about to spray down my watercolors and have fun adding color to this project. I had a lot of fun. You can do anything you want with the birthday cake. Okay, and here I'm doing an embroidery project, it's not embroidery, it's sewing. I'm sewing the outline of this cupcake right with my machine. That turned out pretty good too. I'm a little bit afraid of what dust I've created in my machine, but it was really fun to do this project as well. And here I go again with more watercolor, and I have a lot of fun playing with color on this one too. And there you go, the finished project. It was fun. So this is how my sewing table looks currently. The machine sits above the table, the desktop, which is pretty standard. I've taken out the drawer below and I've marked my template with some masking tape. I've used a couple of straight edges, and here I am I've drilled pilot holes to help me, and then I use my jigsaw to cut out the spots. I tried to keep as close to the original outline as possible because I wanted a fairly tight fitting opening for my machine. There we go, testing it and it works. Okay, the next projects we're going to get into are pretty fun. I dehydrated a whole bunch of things from my garden, almost all of my herbs, some of my edible flowers. They turn out beautiful and delicious, and I take them through a process of a few iterations of crafts and things I'm going to make with them, and I'll take you along on that journey, and then we'll go right into another project, and you will see the surprise I had in the kitchen that I've never had before and hope to never have again. Okay, so this isn't an ideal day to do this because it's been raining all night, and I'd rather do this on a dry, sunny day, but we're gonna have rain for the next 4 days, and I don't want these flowers or these plants to get destroyed by all that rain before I have time to save them. So I am going to come out here and harvest a lot of my nasturtium flowers, some of the nasturtium leaves, and my dahlia flowers. And we are going to dehydrate them because eventually we are going to add them to a wreath that we will be making. Okay, so this is what we've got from the garden for our herb wreath. I've got tons of basil, some dill, bay, or laurel I think it's called, a little more dill, and then a whole load of rosemary. There's a whack of parsley, and I've got some sage. Now because it has just rained here, you will see there's dirt. And so I'm gonna gently wash all this, lay it out to dry, and then we're gonna put it on the food dehydrator, just really, really low. Here's our nasturtium flowers and leaves, and our dahlias. They are gonna be gorgeous. 5 hours now at 100 degrees. Let's have a look. It's basil. Those are our flowers. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. Nasturtiums and dahlias. And basil, parsley. Okay, these are pretty green, so they've got a long time to go. But I really want to see those flowers. They will taste peppery, by the way, if you haven't had them before. And the reason that we're doing them so low at 100 degrees is to keep the vibrant colors. The higher you dehydrate something, the hotter you dehydrate it, the more it loses its color and it looks kind of like brown. So the lower you can afford to go, the prettier your product will be. Same is true with citrus. If you want to make a garland with like lemon slices and orange slices, if you do them really, really low, they'll keep their color. It'll be really pretty. All right, so here we are about to make a herb wreath. I have a wreath form beside me, that black circle, and I realize it's too big for what I want, so I manually create one using some jewelry wire and some crafting wire. I'm trying to create volume so that my herbs have something to sort of snug into when I poke them through. I want to keep all the herbs going in the same direction just for aesthetics, so I just keep going around and round. I layer each herb type individually and then come back and fill them in as I can. And I'm almost done here. I'm thinking it looks pretty good. Add my flowers and a candle to the middle, and I think it's absolutely stunning. So those of you who saw me make, I think I just put in this previous video, this beautiful herb wreath. It was beautiful. It was a wonderful centerpiece. The candlelight was really, really pretty. It smelled wonderful. But as it will start to rehydrate just because of the moisture in the air. We've had a few rainy days, so there's moisture in the air. And so this is not as dry as it needs to be to stay as a beautiful centerpiece. So the next iteration of this centerpiece is going to become finishing salts, which is really nice as a gift. I will just say herbed finishing salts. I won't list what's in it because it may not be prevalent in each jar that gets dished up and either given out or sold. So at this point, I need to take out the wires that were holding this all together, make sure there's no wires in here, and take out a bunch of the stems that were used to help. They won't taste good at all. So I will break this all down and put it in this bowl, and then eventually I'll put it into my blender, blend it all up, and I'll bring you back for that part. Okay, I'm back. I have picked off most of the leaves and the parts of the herbs that I want to put into my blend. I've also picked out most of the very pretty flowers. I want to use them as decoration. And I had 2 sets of bay leaves in my wreath, and I've pulled them out because we're not going to crush them and add them. I've added lots of salt to this blender, and I'm going to just blend it now. So you can see there's a nice distribution of herbs in there. It's important to start with, well, I think it's important to start with that coarse salt because as you see, it gets ground down pretty small. So I will just finish this up and we'll come back when it's time to bottle it. Bye. Okay, so this is all mixed nicely and I have my little packaging cups here. I will brand these as herb and floral finishing salts. Some of them actually have the center of the flower in them. And I don't know, I think I'll sell them for $1 and brand them as stocking stuffers. I will seal these with tape so that they don't open. And I've got lots more to fill. Here I go. The leaves from these dahlias are really peppery. I really enjoy eating them. They're delicious. So good. All right, once I get them all sealed with tape, I will probably embellish them with little bows and make them kind of Christmassy and festive and hopefully fun for people to buy. Bye. Look at the difference here between the bay laurel that I dehydrated versus what was in my spice cabinet. I don't know how old my bay laurel is, but it's pretty old. Okay, so this morning while we're waiting for cranberries to boil, we will also be working on finishing up a few projects that we've started in the kitchen. The first we'll work on are these dehydrated mushrooms. I actually let them go overnight. We've had a couple of rainy days here and there's a lot of moisture in the air, so they took longer to dehydrate than I expected. These need to just cool a little bit before they go in the blender. I'm making mushroom powder. I'm going to jump in here really quickly and ask you to look and see where the spoon is in that jar. See it? Watch what happens. Do you need to go in your crate? Wow. That was scary. I left a teaspoon in my blender and turned it on. Note to self, don't do that. Luckily, we can carry on. But with far less mushrooms. Okay, and as you saw in that explosion, when you open dehydrated mushrooms, there's a big powder. Just don't inhale. Or let it sit a minute before you open this. That is how fine this powder gets. It's lovely to add to stews and gravy for sure. And anywhere else you want to hide a little mushroom nutrient from your picky eaters. I'm going to make a cup of coffee. I think I need one. You can see here that one of the blades on my blenders sheared right off. That was an explosion I did not expect to happen, and lesson learned. Don't leave teaspoons in your blender overnight. I knew I was going to do that project in the morning, so I just thought I'll leave it all together, and that was a mistake I won't make again. Anyways, that's a long episode. Thanks for sticking around this long. I'm so delighted that any of you get joy from this. I'm so glad that me sharing this is fun for you guys as well. So thanks so much for being here. Episode 5. I would never have guessed when I was challenged to start this show, this episode, or this channel, that it would even get this far. So thanks for joining me. I really do appreciate the community that's being built around this, and I love sharing this stuff with you and hearing from you about what you see when you watch it. In the meantime, between now and the next video, I'm going to share a few things that have made me smile this week. I hope they make you smile too. Bye, friends.